You. Oh my fucking god, guys! It's God is Imaginary, episode 6. Ah! 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 I definitely didn't just wake up 25 minutes ago and forget everything I was gonna say today. That definitely did not happen. Uh, I know that I was gonna discuss the Pope because he just died, Pope Francis. He became Pope in 2013, and he just died today, and that's really tragic and unfortunate that he died at the ripe young age of like 89 or however old he was. Let me actually get that right. How old was Pope Francis? He was 88. My mistake. But he would have turned 89 this year if he had his birthday. So, give me like half a point there. Like half a point there for the factual fidelity here on God is Imaginary. Thank you, everyone. So, I guess today we're going to be talking about the Pope a little bit because he was in the news. What's funny is I actually had a Pope costume delivered to me. That was going to be my next little costume, but I figured I might as well give it a little bit of time beforehand because he is someone that died, and personally, I don't really give a damn because he's just a guy to me. He's not some figurehead. He's not some like direct connection to God that can like translate his supposed beliefs to the real world or something. That's total shit. What's actually remarkable to me is that a lot of leftists and a lot of atheists even were saying like hell yeah, Pope Francis, because um he distinguished himself by supposedly being more progressive and more inclusive compared to previous popes or even just Catholics in general. And of course, because he became progressive and inclusive, every Catholic in the world, of course, became progressive and inclusive. That's definitely what happened. Because even though the Pope is supposed to be like the figurehead of the Catholic Church and whatever he says is literally law under the Catholic Church, that's obviously I'm being facetious there. That's not what happened. You know, I see no point in people saying, "Oh, well, look at Pope Francis." He said, "Who am I to judge about gay people?" And even said that you could bless same-sex couples, notably not same-sex marriages. He specifically excluded that. So that must mean Catholicism is A-OK and definitely isn't used as a vehicle to serve bigotry through or anything. That's definitely what it means. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. There's also a ton of things that uh Pope Francis screwed up. Oh, allegedly Ian wants to counter stream me. I had to knock his fucking block off. Kent Hovind is live. Okay, so we're counter streaming Kent Hovind. That's fine. That's fine, I guess. Also, there was that thing in 2018 where, one of the things that Pope Francis was trying to uh, criticize and do right by in the Catholic Church was the rampant issue where they can't help themselves but molest young boys because a lot of actually it's actually a funny thing, because a lot of pedophiles decide, oh, I got to become a priest to prevent myself from having these urges because I'll have a closer connection to God. They'll pray to God for these urges to go away, etc. And God's not real. God is imaginary. Ha 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 ha. So eventually, someone with so much opportunity around young boys, this happens again and again. And what would happen is, they'd get accused of molesting a young boy, And what they do is they just take the priest and fly him this way and that way and this way and that way and try and hide him and protect him. Now, Pope Francis supposedly was trying to uh, address this and essentially stop this from being the case. Like, that was one of his mission statements, of course. But in 2018, he called people that were criticizing a bishop, Juan Barros, who is a priest out of Chile and one of the most notorious predator priests. Uh, Pope Francis strongly defended him, uh, despite accusations from the victims that the priest witnessed and ignored their abuse and did not facilitate it in any way. He strongly defended them, and he went back and changed his opinion on it like 4 months later. But of course, it's he's part of the system. That's like part of his role as the Pope. Now, here's the thing about the Pope is that, like, Pope Francis supposedly seemed like a decent enough guy. I appreciate that he was trying to make it seem like there was anything worth saving about Catholicism at all. Like, it isn't just a cabal of hateful, Puritan, pretentious rednecks or anything. Even though it is, that's what it always has been, and that's what it always will be, because that is what the people that constitute the belief are. That's what the purpose of religion is, by and large, wholesale. I apologize that I'm a bit scatterbrained today. Let's read some comments that we got on the last show. Put it on the glass, folks. Check this. Check out that cool transition. You didn't expect that, did you? Ah, that's fun. That's fun. We gotta make this a little bigger for you guys to read. So we got one from Got Moxie. Moxie, of course, spelled wrong. I don't know where this.
Way to forecast Portman.
Oh, so is that her voice, or is that?
Way to forecast Portman, stupid shit.
No, that's Elsie Lovelock. Okay. There we go. Roman. So in this episode, I talked about proselytization a little bit. It was kind of disorganized. It was mostly me actually talking about comments, because it's an easy form of content for this show. It's an easy form of showcasing idiotic Christians, which is all of them, because they believe in the supernatural. They believe in things beyond what we can observe, which is insane. That is like actually insane. That is idiotic. Romans 1:22-32. I guess this is trying to contravene anything I said in that show, which is hilarious, because that's the thing that a lot of Christians do, that they can't even conceive of how this means nothing to me. Oh yeah. What about this book you don't believe in? There's some evidence for you. There was a video we saw last episode where a guy said incontrovertible proof of God, and he just kept saying Bible verses, this and that, where they basically said, like, a bad man will rise up, but then a good man will rise up afterwards. Sound familiar? You can associate that with anything in the current political sphere. Professing themselves to be wise, they became fools, and changed the glory of the uncorruptible God to an image made like to corruptible men, and to birds and four-footed beasts like creeping things. Oh, so this is me. I was talked about in the Bible, guys. I was foreseen that people would see that this shit is made up. People would see that this shit is made up and profess that this shit is made up. That's crazy. That's crazy. By the way, if you guys want to discuss, the link to Discord is in the description, and it also is scrolling at the top of the screen right there, coming along now. Coming down the pike, coming into the other side. Wherefore God also gave them up to uncleanness through the lusts of their own hearts to dishonor their own bodies between themselves, who changed the truth of God into a lie and worshipped and served the creature more than the Creator, who is blessed forever. Amen. Wow. Now that had nothing to do with anything. Just wasting my time. So of course I tell this person, you know, and yeah, you'll know in due time. So if I'm shot dead on the streets or something, that's because that was God's will. That's what he wanted me to do. That's what he wanted for me. And we can only wonder who it was. And yet look at the imaginations of man. So a lot of people have criticized the name of the show, God is Imaginary, for saying that God is the purpose we have, imagination, consciousness in general. They've clearly, because of course they've read up on all like the neuroscience and, the biological function of our brain and how it works, how it's developed for billions of years. Well, not billions of years, like hundreds of thousands of years. Yeah, like you can even look at our progenitors prior to that and see that those with like bigger brains, those that could imagine and have consciousness, those were the ones that survived the longest and eventually evolved into us. Our lacas, our rakas, and yet look at the imaginations of man. But it's God done did it, of course. It's not a natural function of evolution where we evolved the ability to imagine, to problem solve, because that allows us to think dynamically, that allows us to adapt, that allows us to invent tools to further carry our species down the line. That's the only purpose of evolution, by the way. And evolution is random traits, so like sometimes we can regress, sometimes we can progress, but the traits that allow us to reproduce further into the future are the ones we keep. So like if a creature, say for example, is like starts living in like a dark area or something where seeing is not beneficial to them, sometimes they will regress the ability to see at all. So I'm not trying to make the claim that evolution is always the in the interest of progress at a micro scale, but on a macro scale, it's a self-correcting system where we traits that allow us to reproduce further into the future um get carried on. This is a self-evident trait. It's pretty obvious to understand. It's not God done did it. It's not intelligent design because a lot of the time it fails. A lot of the time. In fact, I'd say most of the time it's either harmful or totally banal and it does nothing. And it very rarely is a trait that a species carries down. One such example pretty recently, kids born now don't have wisdom teeth. A lot of them don't have wisdom teeth because our mouths are getting smaller and smaller, and eventually they lose the need for wisdom teeth. I have my wisdom teeth. I'm 21 years old, but there are toddlers walking around now that never even had their wisdom teeth because, for literally centuries and centuries, we haven't needed wisdom teeth. We haven't needed that many teeth in our head. They're pretty notorious for actually growing in sideways and fucking up your mouth. Mine didn't, but a lot of people live in agonizing tooth pain because of their wisdom teeth, and they can't afford to get them extracted because it's considered a cosmetic thing, even in places where you have free healthcare. So they just have to deal around. They have to deal with having fucked teeth. Imagine making fun of the very reason you have imagination in the first place. Again, it's the same thing I just talked about. We have the ability to imagine, as they say, for problem solving, to be able to think dynamically. Before spouting bigotry, bring truth first. And that's not at all ironic coming from a religious person, not to spout bigotry. Here's the thing, you can't be bigoted toward religious people. Religious people are the overwhelming, dominant population literally over the entire world. Like, atheists and anti theists, or even just non religious people, are a vast minority of people. It is an extremely narrow slice of people out there. And even so-called atheists a lot of the time make a half step and like, well, I don't believe in God, but I believe in spirits and I'm very spiritual and the natural balances of the world. Yeah, you should be shot. It's an extremely rare, specific thing to be an atheist, right? So the extreme minority criticizing the majority that dictates our culture, that heavily influences laws and teachings. Just recently in Oklahoma, I believe it was mandated that you have to have the Ten Commandments on a poster in every classroom. And a lot of the time they abstract it by saying, well, how can you teach the law if you don't teach the original law? And one of the original laws is you shall have no gods before me. It is literally teaching children to be credulous and accept God. Even though God is nothing but has a del- God and religion wholesale has nothing but a deleterious effect on society. It is bigotry. It is the denigration of progress. Um, and a lot of the time, for the majority of history, anyone that tried to uh, think otherwise or criticize otherwise was labeled a heretic. Anyone that tried to contradict the narrative of God. So, talk to me about bigotry because I'm stating the truth of what's happening, the truth of the world we live in. We live in a very, especially in the United States, we live in a very, very religious country, and it is like so we have so-called separation of church and state, but of course, that gets ignored because Christians get to whine about well, it's my private beliefs. It's my private religion, so you can't criticize it at all. I get to spout these things with complete impunity because I follow the inerrant word of God, which definitely does not have tons of contradictions in it. Have a shower before you disrespect your maker, bud. You know what? This is I said fair enough because I actually looked pretty fucked up in the stream because I for some reason I have a tendency to sleep in on Sundays. So I just woke up like just before this. I'm not sure why you feel the need to make a mockery of the Lord. No one is forcing you to believe. That's not true. Literally Christianity has been forced upon me my entire life. Growing up in the United States, every child has Christianity forced upon them in their life because it's dominant force. And this isn't exclusive to Christianity, by the way. I believe like all religions are fronts for hatred and bigotry and bringing other people down, whether it's Christianity, Jewish, Muslim, pagan, alien chicken worshiper, whatever. But I don't bring up those as much because they aren't the dominant culture, especially in the United States. Especially like Muslims. Muslims are definitely um treated poorly in this country. Muslims are definitely oppressed in this country. And even though that their religion is completely hateful and is like all religions and is a total vehicle to put other people down and have control over them, I don't criticize Muslims as much because they are not the ones, even though they would if they could, they're not the ones influencing the world for the worst in their interest because they just don't make up the majority of religious people in the West. If you are truly so horrid by the idea, you are free to live as you will, but respect those of us with faith also have that right. You have the right to be moronic, sure, but also the point of this show is that Christianity is the dominant force that is influencing society. Magic thinking, rejecting science, a lot of people were criticizing the vaccine because they're like, "Oh, there's like mouse brains in it and stuff. This is demonic. The COVID-19 vaccine is demonic. Just another vacuous criticism that you can't reply to. You can't say it isn't demonic because demons aren't real, God isn't real, but because they can ascribe it to this fake. Um, See, this is why I should sleep more, because they can ascribe it to this fake sort of sanctimony. They get a free pass to just say whatever. If we cannot find middle ground and understanding, then at least let us not go out of our ways to antagonize each other. I'm making a show, and you're making the decision to come and watch the show. I'm making a show called God is Imaginary, and you're making the decision to comment on the show God is Imaginary. What do you expect? How do you know they lied about carbon dating? Are you dumb? See, I like people that like unironically use the laughing till crying emoji like it means something. Like you're getting an own in. I'm laughing at you. I'm getting it because they can't use words. They don't think in words. They have to go back to preschool picture books using symbols to represent what they mean because they aren't articulate enough or intelligent enough to express in words, uh, you know, something clever to criticize me with. They have a little button on their phone because they unironically think in like symbols and like reactions to something. That's what people that use emojis in real life do. They don't think. They aren't literate. Are you dumb? Let's take a look at AKO 444's page. Among Us: How to Kill Everyone as an Imposter. Wow. Now this is content. I'm someone that's been creating content since I was like 13 years old. I've like content that has a point to existing, where I'm saying something, I'm doing something that actually has a purpose and entertaining. Uh, on top of video content, I write, do music. For a while, I would draw. I've done a lot of things to enrich the world that I live in, to contribute to culture and make society a little more intelligent by contributing creatively to the world. But of course, this guy here, Jackie, he doesn't feel any compunction to do that himself, to actually like make a video with like a point to it that's entertaining or whatever. He just uploads not even slop, just total shit. Like not even something that has like cheap entertainment value, just no entertainment value at all. So of course Jackie here has totally has grounds to criticize me on because they do nothing but play Xbox all day in their house and leave vacuous comments such as, "How do you know they lied about carbon dating? Are you dumb?" Miracles happen every day. Just because they don't happen on command means nothing. Actually, it does. It actually proves that it isn't a reproducible, repeatable trait, which is a stage in the scientific process that proves that something is the way it is. It proves a hypothesis. You could consider the two slit experiment as a small miracle. Nope, that's hilarious. Ha ha ha! The two slit experiment, if you aren't aware, proves that light behaves not as particles but as wavelengths too, because if you shine a light at two slits and move it across, oh my god, these slits move, they duplicate, etc. It's not a miracle because it's reproducible, because it happens all the time. It happens repeatably and reliably. We can set up the conditions again and get the same exact result anywhere in the universe at any time in any way, as long as the conditions are the same. Miracles, on the other hand, do not. Prayer does nothing. There's a lot of people that say, I prayed and got saved from cancer. How many people do you think have died from cancer that have prayed? Or so, how many people do you think have got, in the world, have gotten like rabies, unvaccinated, and when they started showing symptoms of it, uh, prayed, and what do you know? Literally none of them survived. Rabies is one of the most deadly diseases in the world, and since its inception, only about 20 people have ever survived rabies post showing symptoms. With like, I think there was one woman pretty recently, and it's like, it's a wild, wild exception that 99.99% of people die from this disease when the majority of people are Christian and undoubtedly would pray to not die from it, but only 20 or so have survived. What do you think that says? That it's thousands of people and only 20 of them there's only 20 real believers of God? There's only 20 real people that have felt the touch of God? You can't say uh that is pretty much unexplainable from the reductionist POV. Nope. Life itself is a miracle. That is definitely reductionist, by the way. You are definitely reducing it to a total abstraction. This is a thing a lot of Christians do, where they try to extract their argument so far from anything. Well, I'm not saying God is like a person in the sky or anything. God is just everything. They basically just equate it to like God just being the universe in itself. So you can't actually criticize or defend their position because then they can just move the goalposts elsewhere because they don't actually have it grounded in anything. The two slit experiment is not a miracle because we can reproduce it. Show me a miracle that we can reproduce. So like God is the definition of a miracle is making the impossible possible by God. God is able to make the impossible possible, but he literally never has. Nothing impossible has ever happened. There's no one that's ever fallen from a building or whatever that's been saved by God, caught in midair, and placed down on the ground safely. That has never happened. People that get prion disease never happened. Literally never happened. That is 100% death rate. You can't go into a lab and prove to me that your mother loves you. You can't analyze a cake and know the reason it was made was for your friend's birthday. Her universe works according to hierarchies of meaning. Meaning is unescapable. So you can't go into a lab and prove that it was made for a friend's birthday. Sure, but how does that prove that the universe was made from God? Because that's clearly the analogy you're making. You can't prove that it was made by God, but that doesn't mean it's not true. Well, actually, no. You can't just say anything and say, prove it wrong. Prove me wrong. Now, prove me wrong. You're making the positive statement that God created the universe. You have to prove that right. Because we have plenty of alternative explanations as to how the universe was created. The Big Bang is currently the strongest model for how the universe in the modern state was created. So, whatever. Let's see. You have miracles like the Shroud of Turin, which is clearly unexplainable. No, it isn't. No, the Shroud of Turin is a piece of fabric that is painted. That may possibly be faulty due to contaminants or not. Oh, so the universe, due to contaminants, may possibly. What if it isn't? Because it definitely isn't. Then on the fact that it's a complete mystery it came to be. That's having faith in reductionism. No. No, this is a moronic statement, by the way. You're pulling back your beliefs so far and speaking with such broad terms that it's impossible to nail down what you're actually talking about. You can't just say our existence is a miracle. Prove that. Fucking idiot. But of course, I asked him, hey, how about you be on the show tonight? Oh, wonder where he is. All right, we're gonna take a short break, and when we come back, we're probably, hopefully, gonna be speaking to a Christian. If not, then we will take a look at some content. Don't go anywhere, guys. All right, guys, and we've returned. Hope you've been well. Okay. Um. So what else is happening in the Christian world? I guess we could just resume reading the remainder of the comments that I got because a lot of these Christians are fine with leaving little anonymous comments where they don't have to uh go and actually like confront me head on because I might reply to them and make them look like an idiot. But of course, they can just leave a little comment that they can just ignore the notifications for if I were to actually go in and debunk it. It's the same thing with people yammering in the chat, intelligible nonsense, unintelligible nonsense. So, what's the remainder of the comments we got? I know we got a few left. So, going back to the glass view here. This is the wrong episode. This is the wrong episode. This is the one. This is the one here. All right. Unscientific is modern science, is the news old news by the standard. You read what someone said and fall for propagation. I think he meant propaganda, but who knows? He's of course he can't be illiterate or anything. That's impossible. Oh no, guys, my robe is falling apart. I knew I shouldn't have gone drinking last night. Dialed in on the neuropsychology of how to create a candidate for Trust My Ego. How do you vet your sources, by the way? Politics or pay grade? Have some more than faith, straw man. There you go, guys. Decimated my argument. Like, I love this. It's like they've never had to actually think about their positions once at all, or even had to defend it. Like literally, so many people in there have never even like questioned the idea of God. Number one, because it's a cardinal sin in Catholicism. If you do it, then you're fucked. If you question the existence of God, that's a cardinal sin. You go to hell no matter what as a Catholic. It's hilarious though. He has to go like, "Oh, you must be getting paid off or whatever, or you must just have to agree with their politics." So I'm not sure. So I tell him, join me today. Look at this. Check it out. It's April 27th, 12 p.m. Guys. I wonder where he is. I'm not sure if I can fit that in. Not completely finished. Finished is also misspelled because he's illiterate. With my camera setup and sound system, but if you're willing to engage in good faith, I'll definitely willing to have the debate. I'm not an oiled debater. Oh, really? Really, you aren't? I'm not speaking to someone that has an extensive history in debate. I'm not speaking to an intelligent human being. Really? Color me shocked. How about we start with a exchange and put up a goal for what we want to go through and how we make it as interesting and high standard exchange as possible. What do you say? Should we communicate through X? Oh, so this guy is one of those guys that calls Twitter X. I wonder where his politics lie. Uh Great. I really would like to talk to this guy. I genuinely would, but unfortunately, he does not seem to have uh, bothered with following up on these things that he's saying. Or perhaps you're a Discord server. My a Discord server? For me, it's not terrible important. Which one, I guess. I like the Discord server for as for the planning of things like this. I can't like this is the first time I've actually read the comment because it's, unintelligible gibberish. It's just he's just a blithering loon. He's a blithering idiot. I do the show every other Sunday, same time, same place. Find one of those dates that works and drop in. I'll definitely be there as soon as I get my setup in order. I want to thank you for the good level of response and opportunity. It's a important thing to keep a platform creator code at some level and not a mosh pit lol. Have a good day, sir,
and I will update you when I'm ready and date. Now, there is some guy here in the Discord server, Demon Fire. I don't know who he is, but he's joined the server. Let's check out his Twitter page. Member since August 2009. He has 26 followers. Oh, all he does on Twitter is just retweet giveaways, just beg for free shit. That's pretty cool. Literally doesn't do anything other than repost giveaways. Literally has no thoughts going on in his brain. That's awesome. Based out of New York, though. Gaming technology and IT guy into gaming, World of Warcraft, Path of Exile, Diablo 2, etc. Dot. Real ominous. He's also got a Twitch channel, so not only is he an avid poster on thex.com, he posts little streams. 294 followers on his streams. Let's check out these gut busters here. These little clips.
Isn't it obvious, War Chief? I serve the Horde.
Watch your clever mouth, bitch.
Now that's a clip right there, if I've seen one. Wow. Seriously, what is this? Like, what is the point of the... There's like 500 people on the internet, by the way. I just want you to say, this guy is a Russian bot. This guy is just created by AI to make it seem like the internet is actually being used by people. There's 500 people on the earth. Uh, there's 500 people on the internet. This is a completely synthetic guy where they made like a fake Twitch page and a fake Twitter page for him. But all he does is just, retweet other shit and sit in the corner while the video game idly plays up on the big screen and he does nothing. So yeah, this is just just a little. It's like the content creator equivalent of like a cardboard cutout, where they put that in there just to make it seem like someone's actually there, like like you actually have company. It's almost the equivalent of like if you have a dog and you leave the TV on, so that way there's noise for it, so it thinks that there's someone in the house. So that's what this guy is. No thoughts going on in his brain, just playing idiotic video games that are 20 years old that are terrible. Because, what would you do? Actually, like, um, do anything other than play the same three video games? Video games are art like everything else, but it's kind of weird if someone's like, "Oh, I like The Shining, so I watch it 4 times a day, every single day." You'd think it'd get a little old for those people, but for a video game, if you play the same video game your entire life, apparently there's no need to go out and check out other things or anything. There's no need to broaden your creative landscape at all. So, I don't know. There's like weird preferential treatment among people that have low IQs to video games in comparison to real, genuine art. Real genuine art as in those that don't have the artificial pedestal of having to be propped up as like, no, video games are real art too. It's just a total coincidence that everyone that like is obsessed with video games has no media literacy at all. It's just a complete coincidence, guys. I swear. Anyways, thanks for ruining my show, Tiny Blaze. I was kind of waiting for you to join in because you said you would, but of course, why would I think you're genuine at all? Of course, they'd have to like, if he joined my Discord server, but if he actually joined the show here, he'd have to like they'd have to program more lines of code into him to make him seem like an actual human being. They'd have to like source Wikipedia and Christian.com or whatever, like these weird Christian forums people like to copy off of and repeat that. And that's a lot of processing power and work. So he's just not going to bother. He's just going to make more vacuous streams where he plays the same 3 video games again and again. All right. Slow day today, isn't it? We're gonna go back to Made by Jim Bob and check out his show, Arguments Against Atheism.
In this first
This is a short one, so let's see what this is.
Hey, what's going on, folks? I have another great episode for you today. This one's really going to trigger the
Wow. Oh, this is really gonna trigger everyone. Get ready to be triggered, guys. Trigger warning. Trigger warning. So that means if you have any like criticism or any like problem with this video at all, it's because you're triggered, guys. It's because you aren't intelligent enough. Because you're just someone that just is a hypochondriac that freaks out about everything. You're triggered.
online atheist, so pay attention. Hello, I'm your host.
So it feels odd where in this 2.5 minute long video, you have to have this 12-second intro. You waste 12 of these precious seconds on introducing what's going on here. And even then, he's probably going to get into introducing the argument before he presents the argument. So let's take a look.
Host Jim Bob, and this is Arguments Against Atheism, a series which aims to highlight and dismantle secular atheist contentions to God's existence. In today's episode, I'm going to give you something that
Wait, so that's an astronaut with an Oscar right there. He's saying that the space. Okay, this guy's kind of interesting. Okay, so there's many things that you could extrapolate from the astronaut holding the Oscar. He could be saying that the moon landing is fake. He could be saying that space is fake, which is really interesting. He could be a geocentrist, which is a surprisingly common thing along the most prominent online Christians. I know that it's just the algorithm pushing people with more extreme views. I know that the average Christian does not believe in geocentrism, but it is funny when they do. I hope this guy does too. Wow. So he's saying here that what he's definitely saying at least is that stuff with space is fake, right? To try and doubt God. Like NASA is an evil institution that is very highly funded. Definitely isn't like a tenth of a percent of our national budget or anything. The very highly funded NASA fakes its space exploration to discount God.
I'm going to give you something that will silence the atheist, or at least have them storming out of the room. There are plenty of questions the atheist cannot answer, but this is the question of all questions. Why ought we pursue true beliefs as opposed to any belief that provides us utility? The common position.
Why should we? Because there's no alternative to the truth. The truth is ineffable. The truth is, like, why should we believe in something that's true? Because if you don't, you're deluding yourself. And when you delude yourself, you aren't able to make rational judgments and decisions. It's extremely bad for your mental health. Talk to any psychologist. That's why.
Position I see among atheists is similar to this one from Apologia. He says, I care not about the utility of Christianity, only the truth of Christianity. Of course, when we ask them, why do you care about what's true, they will undoubtedly say it's because it's useful, which circles us back to utility. The reason this simple question is so devastating to the atheist's epistemic and meta-ethical system is because it shows that the atheist does in fact permit false beliefs so long as they are useful. Under their view,
No, so you're already straw manning here. This is a ridiculous straw man. So let's read the tweet here. I care not about the utility of Christianity, only the truth of Christianity. Yeah, some people add this fake sort of like, well, Christianity has done all these great things for the world, so therefore, you can say that's a very useful thing, and the dissolution of it would be terrible for society. And like, we can talk about that a little bit. I would happen to disagree with that, but you know, Christianity, religion is something that humans seem to have a tendency towards, which, you know, we've made it this long with it, so I guess it's not as deleterious, even though it serves purely as a force to inhibit progress. But he's making the argument here that, you know, the supposed utility of Christianity um, he's saying that it does not outweigh the truth to him, which I would also agree with. I'd say because first of all, there is no functional, actual, useful utility to Christianity in the world. You could analogize it with anything else that you can observe in the natural world and live your life. You can be good to people without the threat of hell. You can explore science and how the universe was created without being like, oh, well, I can't answer that question, so God done did it. Only the truth of Christianity. Yeah. So the truth is what's paramount because there's no beating the truth. The truth is what we can observe. The truth is what we can test and replicate and reproduce and repeat. The truth is what we can observe uh inarguably.
Only the truth of Christianity. Of course, when we ask them, why do you care about what's true, they will undoubtedly say it's because it's useful, which circles us back to utility. The reason this simple question is so devastating to the atheists.
So he's about to say that, the atheist mindset allows for false beliefs, which by making that he's not making that argument to state that that's not what Christians do. He's stating that atheists are equally likely to have false beliefs in their belief system like us Christians. That's actually the argument he's making, which is so interesting if you think about it. That he's like, oh, you're not so great. You also delude yourself too, don't you? Don't you dare think you're better than me.
Epistemic and meta-ethical system is because it shows that the atheist does in fact permit false beliefs so long as they are useful. Under their view,
Yeah,
Christianity and
Christians
other
never have done
religions
that,
are
ever.
false beliefs, but as long as they're useful, the atheist really has no leg to stand on in arguing against holding them as true, even if they were false. And if the atheist is honest, they would admit to holding their own false beliefs for the sake of utility. For example, human rights. Here's a clip of Planet Peterson.
What? Human rights? Oh, well, you believe in human rights, dumbass. So you believe that people should be treated like humans? You believe that people should be able to live their lives freely so long as they live ethically? You are an idiot. You're a fool. You will have contradictions in your belief system.
And being honest about holding a false or unjustified belief in regards to rights.
For example, I believe in human rights, that a woman has the right to decide what to do with her body,
Yes.
etc. Now, can I justify human rights? Well, not really.
Can I justify human rights? What do you mean? I would not really care to have my rights taken away. I would not really care to have my autonomy taken away, told who I can do what with, or what I would not care to do that. So if I would not care to do that, why would I why would I impose that upon other people? I don't need everyone living their lives like I do. I actually would not like that because we'd all be ants if that were the case. I do not believe. Okay, I think Christianity and religion is a thoroughly deleterious force upon the world. I think it is the number one source of war, bigotry, hatred, violence, etc. Like, what's happening in the Middle East, for example. That is all over religion, because that's what happens when you have religion dictating the law over there. When you have a theocracy, oh, well, there you go. You have Muslims killing Jews and Jews killing Muslims. Interesting. Because they're all fighting over what their little magic book says. But yeah, it's just basic empathy, right? Is why should a woman have the choice to have an abortion or not? Well, number one, I recognize that I am not a woman. It's not a decision I'll ever have to make for myself if I am going to have a child. So I understand that my decision to enforce that upon other people has a significant blind spot in it. Number one. And number two, whether or not a woman has an abortion does not affect me at all as a human being. Like if some woman down the street, she could be dealing with a pregnancy right now that she did not plan. She could have been raped or something like that. and she might be toiling over the idea of like, wow, well, I guess I have to have an abortion because like I can't afford to. I'm not gonna carry my rapist baby to term. Fuck that. I have no say in that. I have no say to run down the street and impose my interject myself into this conversation there. That's basic empathy. That's basic minding your own business. Uh let people do their own thing. That's literally in the Bible, by the way, which is very interesting. I can't justify human rights. Y- Basic empathy justifies human rights. Would you, Mr. Jim Bob, would you care to be just like sold into a labor camp for the rest of your life with no wages, no ability to sleep, no freedom, no food, no entertainment, no anything? I don't think you'd care for that very much, right? That's why people have human rights. Uh, Treat others as you treat people. Isn't that the golden rule from Christianity? Huh.
Simply do not want to live in a world where people don't recognize human rights.
An honest atheist will admit that human rights are as fictional as angels under their view. And yet,
I might be missing some context here. Does he mean like that human rights in itself like are a social construct? And if so, then yeah, I agree. They are by definition a social construct. They're something we define by our societal relation to one another. It is something that we invented to lawify how we treat other people. But yeah, it's there's nothing like grand or inarguable intrinsic about it, really. People say intrinsic human rights, but like it's not something that we've extrapolated from like the universe onto us. That's why all across the world people have different levels of human rights. There are countries where people don't where their citizens don't have human rights. There are countries where its citizens have some human rights, and there are countries where its citizens have more human rights. There are countries different from America where its citizens have more human rights than citizens within the United States. So, but yeah, this is all a social construct, but that doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean it. You're ascribing a characteristic to it where it's like, well, we just invented it. Therefore, how can you say that there's any value to it? Because that's the whole of society. The whole of society is invented. The whole of society is somewhat arbitrary, I must admit, but that you're ascribing that to being bad, right? You're ascribing, oh, under the like this is another argument that Christians make all the time. You have no authority to state what's good or bad in your world because it's just your opinion. And it's like, yeah, that's a factual statement. It is my opinion. It is my opinion that we should not keep people as slaves. But that doesn't like that's by definition an opinion. I don't need a grander authority to justify that opinion to me. I don't need that opinion informed to me by God or anything. Because like, in my supposed worldview, there's no need for empathy. Not true. When we're empathetic to people, when we can enrich other people and grow other people, we can propagate further as a species and live longer. Not only do we live longer, we live more prosperously if we help other people. I don't know if you've seen Mr. Rogers at all. Maybe you have to go back to Mr. Rogers and watch that show and then come back here. But yeah, be nice to other people and they'll be nice to you. And what do you know? Everyone's happy. And when everyone's happy, people want to do things.
they hold that human rights exist everywhere there is a human. They demand empirical evidence for miracles and other things, and yet they scream about human rights violations.
Yes. This seems totally irrelevant to your argument. Human rights don't exist like intrinsically in the universe. Yeah. I can't there's no atheist that believes that it's like what? I don't even understand what he means here. He's saying things like matter of factly like they're true. Like this is like, miracles aren't real, but you think human rights are real? Huh. Very suspicious. No, human rights are a total construct based on, the society that declared them. So, yeah, that they are fictional by definition. By that definition, that extremely deceptive definition there. But yeah, they are a construct of society, but that doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean that it's a falsehood because it's a construct of society.
With that said, the challenge goes out to any atheist who happens to be watching this. And I challenge you
Okay.
to answer this simple question.
Let's hear it.
Why ought we hold true beliefs as opposed to holding any beliefs that provide us utility?
Because the truth is paramount. Because the truth can you can't get steered wrong with the truth. You can't delude yourself with the observable truth, right? When you can go into a science lab and prove a hypothesis through an experiment, you can't go wrong with that result, right? If you read the Bible and take it at face value, you say, well, actually, the Bible says this, so that experiment that we could observe with our own eyes and prove to be true, that's true. That's deluding yourself and leaves yourself open to just total credulousness where you can be convinced of anything. If you can believe in something without evidence, then you can believe anything. And if you can believe anything, that is a very, very bad thing for society. That's how we get fascism. That's how that's how we get human rights violations. If people can be made to just believe in anything, that's how fascists get elected. So, yeah, the truth won't steer you wrong because you can't argue the truth. The truth is inexorable.
I look forward to your responses. See you next time.
All right, I look forward to your response. Hopefully that you see this in your little content ID thing and don't flag the stream for it. So yeah, idiotic video right there, making completely asinine arguments. And yeah, so thank you for that, Jim Bob. We're going to be wrapping up the stream tonight. Thank you, everyone, for watching. I do appreciate it. I appreciate all the people that leave comments, especially the ones that leave comments and then don't follow up with those comments or make any attempt to prove their point beyond just vacuously yelling into the void. So I'm going to leave you with that for now. And we will come back in 2 weeks on May 11th. Tune in, guys. Thank you.